The Quiet Blossom, a story about the modern Wild West, the American dream, and marijuana. Written by Michael A.T. Clarke. Narrated by the author. This audiobook is produced by Flophouse Productions. It is copyrighted by Michael A.T. Clarke, 2018, all rights reserved. The following is a work of creative nonfiction. While the events in this book are true, some names, conversations, and identifying details have been changed to protect the privacy of the people involved.
To the Sky. The Quiet Blossom. Book 1. A Living Fantasy. Fall 2008. Part 1. The cars passed in a blur, heedless of our hopeful thumbs. But we didn't care. Our optimism was endless. We would keep our thumbs held high all that day and into the next if need be. We were standing by the road, waiting for a vessel, one that would carry us towards our dream, a dream into which we were already wading, and into which we were prepared to dive and let the currents carry us to a new existence. All we had to do was let go and go. We were costumed in our worst garments, and bearing a few artifacts that mostly served to show how ill-prepared we were. Almost no money, too few clothes, threadbare jackets, a flashlight low on batteries, and giant smiles that made up for it all. Where we were going, there was no need for concern. All one needed was confidence and intention. That was our take on it, at least. "Someone stopped," Adrian called to me. I had spaced out and was staring at the sheep across the road, my thumb balanced in the air. I turned towards the voice of my companion. Some old tin box of a sedan was on the shoulder of the road with its blinker on. I shook vague thoughts from my head, hoisted my pack, and ran after Adrian, who was already conversing at the passenger side window. "He's going as far as the coast, Ben," she said as I trotted up. "Works for me," I replied, putting on a grin. I felt the excitement of the unknown lapping at my feet as I placed them on the floorboard of the car. A first ride is like starting a new book, the first chapter in an adventure that starts the moment you leave the familiar behind. The driver pulled onto the road, and the sheep fields and trees outside the window began to slip into the past. I turned my face to the road and looked ahead towards the hills and bends that obscured my view of what was to come. I didn't know it then, but I was about to join a social movement, a small but significant cultural revolution that was, and still is, shaping the minds and ideals of American society. A movement that started within a small, isolated community and has since rippled out to leave its mark on my generation and the generations to come. I was so caught up in my short-term goals during that brief term, so caught up in self-confidence and manifesting my dreams, that I failed to see the greater significance until much later. At the time, culture, a changing society, and other significant undercurrents were far from my thoughts. What I was looking for, dressed in my worst clothing and thumbing cars, was money. After names and thank yous, and the first awkward pause, our driver asked, "What were you kids doing in Eugene?" Adrian was quick and cheerful with her reply. "Oh, we live there." He nodded. "Mm-hmm. Why did you say you were going to California?" I exchanged looks with my partner. The driver wasn't threatening, that was for sure, resting his elbows on his belly and rubbing his gray stubbled chin against his shoulder periodically as he plodded around the curves, comfortably below the speed limit. "Just going to visit some friends," Adrian told him with a winning smile. The man nodded, and we puttered through Veneta and up into the gray-green gloom of the Coast Range. "And you? What were you up to in Eugene?" I finally asked, trying for a polite tone rather than a curious one. Our driver gave me a wry look in the rearview mirror, then allowed an apparently characteristic pause that seemed part of his sentence structure. "Oh, I had to deliver some weed to a friend. Just a day trip." I looked at Adrian, who looked at me. The trumpets of victory were sounding. She fixed me with her gaze of communication, which we both
Sample complete. Ready to continue?